Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Isabel, and I recently just got done doing the Disney College program for the fall 2024 to 2025 semester, and I just wanted to tell you my experience. So my program dates were May 5th to January 9th, and it was a long 9 months, to be honest with you. I started out doing attractions, and I was actually put in Tomorrowland. That was what was originally said on my I-9 paperwork, and I was, to be honest, kind of surprised that I got attractions. And I will say I was kind of excited because Tomorrowland was my favorite land in Magic Kingdom. I was really surprised and I got put at Space Mountain as my attraction. However, I got very excited because Space Mountain is one of my all-time favorite attractions, so I was excited to get to work that. So when you first get there, you have Traditions, which is basically like the welcoming, like welcome to Disney type of thing. You watch a couple videos, you get your name tags, that kind of stuff. And then you have a like on with the show type of thing where you go and walk around your park, meet your trainers, and get your costumes, all of those exciting things. And when I first got there, actually, they were kind of surprised that I also got Space Mountain because I guess it's more for like alumni who have worked in attractions before, or like, I don't know, it's just one of those that's like harder to get. And I actually did a spring 2020 program. Obviously, we know how that ended. And I was only there for a month and a half, but Disney still qualified that as like alumni, so I guess that's how I got it, even though I don't really count that program at all. Anyways, so I did like, I think a week of training. It was a lot. Each day I think I was getting anywhere between 10,000 steps to 20 just working. It was like, and they were 8-hour shifts, and some days we were just reading, and then some days it was on the job training. I did my assessment, and there's like one major question that I kept missing. And so the guy who was doing my assessment, he was like, I feel very confident that if you had one review day with me that like you would pass. And I was like, okay. So I came in, like, I can't remember if it was the next day or like a day or two after, and I did the review day with him. It went so well. Like, I thought, like, I was like, okay, I can, like, I felt so good about it. And he was really nice. And so then the next day, I came in and did the assessment again. And I just could not do it. I don't know what it is. I did have, like, test anxiety, like, growing up and all throughout school and all that stuff, so I don't know if that was like correlating with any of it, or I didn't feel nervous. But long story short, I ended up failing that assessment, and honestly I was pretty upset. Like, they had me, like, I had a conversation with the guy, and he was just like, do you want to like keep going, like basically just trying to fill me out. And I was just like, no. I was like, clearly I'm not getting it. So he had me take a few minutes because I was getting like visibly upset. And I went outside, took a breather, and I was like texting my mom while I was crying, being like, I don't want to. So after that, I went and had a talk with the leaders. And they saw that I was upset, so they just kind of had me and the leader and closed the door. And she was like, do you want to stay in attractions, or do you want to like be recasted? And I was like, well, from what it sounds like, every other attraction is easier than this one. So I was like, I might as well just try it, why not? So then I had like one day in between, and they just had me like kind of on like strollers activity type of thing for a few hours just to keep my hours on the schedule. And then they recasted me to Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, which is honestly where I thought I was gonna end up, like just in general. And that is like my legit, like all-time favorite ride, which is always a surprise to people, but it's like legit my favorite. And so I was pretty excited, and I did the training. It was a lot shorter than Space's. Space was like a week's worth of training and then the assessment. Buzz was like 3 days of training and then your assessment. So obviously a lot less like things with it. I ended up passing, which I was like, okay. However, I think after like all of the things at Space and what happened, I was just so in my head and I was so stressed out. Like, after this experience, I applaud Attractions cast members so much and have so much respect for them, because it is not easy. If you're like it just pushing a button, no, they have to think about so much. So I did Buzz, and after getting stressed out, I was there for like a couple weeks, I think, after my assessment, and I kept calling out. I was getting in my head and I was like, this is not good for me. So I found, and not all people can do this, so don't get any ideas. This is like a very specific to me. I found my leader on roster and I emailed him and I was just like, hey, is there any way that I could get recasted, because I'm so stressed out and I just don't feel like I could do the job, even though clearly I could. I was just getting so in my head about it. And he emailed me back, honestly, within like the hour. And he was like, hey, no big deal. Let me see what I can do, and then I will give you a call if they send me anything. Within like the next hour, they were already calling me saying that you had a new role. And I was shook. And the role was Photopass photographer. And I was like, I was preparing for custodial, quick service, like all of those. They gave me Photopass photographer, and that was my dream role. So like, they're like, is that okay with you? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, that's fine. And they're like, okay, one of the coordinators will send you an email about your training in a couple days, and you'll get that all sorted out. And I was like, okay, thank you very much. Honestly, I loved Photopass. After Attractions, it actually like, it helped me in my confidence, because my self-confidence had gone down so much after what happened in Attractions and just like what they kept telling me and how I was doing and everything like that. The team that I had for Photopass was also really great. Like, it was the best job. Obviously, there were some days where it was a like hard struggle with how hot it got in Florida, but honestly, that wasn't even as hard as some of the attraction days. So there's that. I will also say, I got sick 3 times in the 9-month period that I was there. The first one was like in between me getting recasted from Attractions to Photopass, so I don't know if that was like manifesting and like I brought that upon myself type of thing or what. Then the next time I got COVID, and then after that it was like a really bad like cold, and so I unfortunately wasn't able to like stay, just because after you get so many reprimands and points, like you're not allowed to extend or go part-time full-time, because honestly I would have loved to stay with Photopass, or honestly even like transfer for another role for a little bit and then you know, whatever. So I struggled a lot in that way as well, physically. And then I also struggled a lot financially, which I feel like not a lot of people talk about. And I wasn't like at Photopass, you actually are making a lot more than like what most CPs are making. And I was working like a lot. However, I kept having like random things come up, like my car kept having issues and just random things like that that most people don't have on their program. So that could have been a part of it. And then the weeks that I was sick, I obviously wasn't making any money and it was going all towards rent. So I had a lot of those issues as well. And I'm pretty sure I was getting depressed like towards the end because all I was doing was staying in the house after my shifts. I wasn't going out by myself or with like my other roommates that I had. I had a really hard time making friends. I actually enjoyed my coworkers a lot, but we didn't really like hang out at all outside of work, which towards the end we were like, we all should have hung out more. So there's that. If this is your sign and you're on the DCP, like actually make the plans because that's what's going to get you friends. And yeah, so I struggle a lot emotionally, physically, financially. However, I know that what I like went through on this program is going to help me towards something. Like it pushed me a lot, and it was also I had just moved to Florida like that year. So I was just going through a big transitional phase, and it was a good learning experience. People ask me like, do you recommend doing the program? And I always say it depends on what you're doing the program for. Like if you're going to get your foot in the door with Disney, do it. If you're going to just experience Disney, do it. However, know that you'll be working a lot. Know that it will be hot 99% of the time. Know that some days it's going to be difficult. Also, it's a very strange culture. Like, I felt like you either had people that were always going out, going to the clubs and doing that. You had those friend groups, or you like really didn't have friends, to be honest with you. That was at least my experience and like my roommate's experience from what I could tell. So do with that what you will. We also weren't very like extroverted people, so that probably doesn't help. But yeah. And as like Flamingo Crossing is concerned, it's a very nice property actually. And I didn't have any issues personally. However, I felt like from what we were paying, you could get your own bedroom with roommates for cheaper, if not around the same price somewhere else, and have a better living situation. So if I were to like do the program again, I would probably opt out of housing and like try to find my own apartment with other roommates. It wasn't bad. I know some people have worse experiences. I will say our elevator kept breaking down and we were on the 4th floor. So those were hard. There was one time where it was down for like 3 months and they just weren't doing anything about it. So there's that. So yeah, all around, I would say I had a pretty good time. Once I got past my attractions phase, I will say everybody that I worked with in the attractions department was super nice. They were all really fun. It was just the way my brain was connecting with everything. It was not meant for me, and I accepted that. Photopass is great. Don't let standing outside like make you worried for that role. It is so much fun. Just standing around there, and like the equipment that they have you take is kind of heavy. However, you get used to it. So there's that. That's my advice for doing the Disney College program and kind of my experience. If you are doing your DCP or you're going into the Disney College program, Let me know in the comments what your program is, what your dates are, if you have your role, what your role is. Yeah, I can't wait to hear all about it. Thanks for watching.